Hello, everyone. Juxtaposition here. This will be part three of the FTX uh, crypto exchange financial calamity broadcast 24/7 on your MSNBC fake news channel and your Fox cable business channels. Mainly focused on, the Charlie Manson and Susan Atkins scapegoats. And if you look at their photographs carefully, you'll see a tremendous resemblance between Charlie Scott Manson and Sam Bankman-Fried, and Susan Atkins and Caroline Ellison. I mean, they look similar. And, I got to believe that's on purpose. I mean, look, normally when you're on television, don't you comb your hair, right? And Charlie Manson normally had like a crew cut and his hair was kept neat. But when he was in his trial mode, when they was parading out for that kangaroo court joke of a maritime court martial where he never got to defend himself, his hair was all puffy and frizzed out like Timothy Leary showed up with an electroshock meter and jabbed him with a poker, rod, right? Or a cow prod, or plugged him into an outlet. That's what Sam Bankman-Fried's hair looks like. Looks like Angela Davis on steroids. And then Caroline Ellison, she looks like a little church mouse, right? Which is a lot like Susan Atkins. She's very harmless, petite, petite. Not going to go out and stab 7 people with a military weapon called the M7 bayonet, the same weapon used in the My Lai massacre on March 16th, 1968. The M7 attached to the M16 rifle. All right. Anyway, the story is all orbiting around Sam Bankman, who graduated from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, with a degree in physics with a minor in mathematics. And paradoxically, Caroline Ellison's parents were both teaching at MIT, whilst Sam Bankman-Fried is going to school there, matriculating there. And Caroline's parents are economists, professors at MIT, which is the home for many decades of Noam Chomsky, the expert in applied linguistics, which I call sophistry. I think Noam's moved on to New Mexico and to warmer temperatures in his later years. So Caroline, meanwhile, is ensconced at Stanford University, where she's getting a degree in mathematics. And this is where Sam Bankman-Fried's parents are law professors at the Stanford Law School. And that is an oxymoron unto itself, because Stanford University cannot have a law school because there's no laws in California. So how can you have a law school when you don't have any laws? I mean, we're under maritime admiralty martial law. That's one law. That's you're guilty until I say you're not guilty. Or unless you know somebody and make a phone call, if I let you use the phone. Because usually when you're in the jail, guess what? You don't have access to a telephone most of the time. Or if you do, the phone is turned off. So you can pick it up, but you don't get a dial tone. So just letting you know that this idea that you can make a phone call from the jail, that's actually, sophistry. It's not true. You cannot make a phone call from the jail. No, you can't. You can't. Okay? So the story is a paradox, because we have Caroline at Stanford with Sam Bankman-Fried's parents working on that campus as well. 4,000 acres of property in Palo Alto, Santa Clara County, Stanford University. And you got Sam Bankman-Fried's parents, law professors there. And there's Caroline Ellison getting her undergraduate degree in mathematics. And then on the opposite East Coast, where the Wicked Witch of the East is from, Evelyn, we have MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And Sam Bankman-Fried is getting his degree in physics with a minor in mathematics, whilst Caroline's parents are professors of economics at MIT. So it's kind of a mirror image where the kids are on the opposite. The kid that grew up on the East Coast is at Stanford on the West Coast, and the kid that was born and raised in in Santa Clara and San Mateo counties. It's near Stanford University in Crystal Springs. He's in Boston, Massachusetts at MIT. And the parents stay where they're supposed to. So, the Stanford parents, Bankman Fried, they stay at Stanford. And the Ellison parents, Caroline Fisher, Ellison's Sarah Fisher, she stays in Boston with Glenn Ellison. Anyway, so that's it. But I just want to tell you, they have nothing whatsoever to do with this FTX Alameda research story. They really have nothing to do with it. And by the way, in Spanish, Alameda translate to promenade. It means public pathway, welcome to the public, shaded with trees, a welcoming pathway, the promenade. That's Alameda Research, a quantitative virtual trading software package. And then we have Sam Bankman is the CEO of FTX, which is the real deal, where it's receiving $213,500,000 of love from Sequoia Capital, from 2800 Sand Hill Road, Menlo Park, which is the county of San Mateo, which is confusing because it's really adjacent to the Stanford University, which is in Santa Clara County in the city of Palo Alto. You see, right where Sand Hill Road is, that's a dividing line between San Mateo County and Santa Clara County. And the city of Menlo Park is on the north side of the road. And the city of Palo Alto is on the south side of Sand Hill Road. And that is where Erin Valente, age 33, had her last appointment at 2500 Sand Hill Road with a Harvard undergraduate with an MBA from Stanford. And she had a 1:30 p.m. appointment, which wrapped up at 3 p.m. on a Monday afternoon on October 7th, 2019 at 2500 Sand Hill Road. And that person was not just an ordinary person. He was the managing director of a subsidiary entity for KKR, the Jewish venture capital private equity company, which is located the next parking lot up the hill, about 100 meters away at 2800 Sand Hill Road, which we all know the name of that is Kohlberg, Kravis, and Roberts, KKR. And they are in the same location as is Sequoia Capital, which was founded by, come on cue everybody, we all say Don Valentine, Jesuit, Roman Catholic educated, went to Jesuit Fordham University in the Bronx, New York. Don Valentine, with no banking credentials, no private banking experience. He was a salesman for the military-industrial complex. He represented Raytheon Missile Guidance Programs, Fairchild, National Semiconductor, right? And he's a salesman with an engineering background. He has an engineering background, but he's not a practicing engineer. He's a salesman. He engages in applied linguistics to sell military equipment. And then it's Don Valentine, the salesman of electronics. He becomes a premier private banker in 1972 on Sand Hill Road in Menlo Park, the city of Menlo Park, in the county of San Mateo, where Paul Pelosi killed his older brother, David, in an overturned sports car crash near the Crystal Springs Reservoir. And then they blamed it on the neck brace. Couldn't have been the 16-year-old speeding at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Couldn't have been that. Anyway, I'm here to tell you that when the CIA does things like this, where they put two of the premier private equity venture capital firms on the same office, using the same men's rooms, that perhaps they're working together. And we know they are, because guess what? There are many financial transactions throughout the globe that include both Sequoia funding and KKR funding. In other words, they piggyback off each other. They participate together. But it's always portrayed in the media that they're competing for business and that they're in the same venture capital private equity business. but they're not the same company. They have different employees. They have different wage scales. They even go on to, if you search the internet, you can see employee, Yelp sites that rate, what's better to work for, the Jewish-based, KKR, or the Jesuit Catholic-based Sequoia, which pays better. Turns out Sequoia pays higher salaries. The Jewish firm pays lower salaries, but they have better benefits, whatever that means. They're comparable. And the employees park in the same parking lots. And look, I want to let you know that the 2800 Sandal Road, that's the executive offices. So most of the employees at these firms, they work in San Francisco, Manhattan, other cities, Hong Kong, Shanghai. They're all over the world. They're international bankers. They're international private bankers. And I want to emphasize the word private because it means that they're secret bankers. And that anything that you see on CNBC or Jim Cramer's Mad Money show or anything you get on Fox News or Fox Business, it's all poppycock, people, because I'm here to tell you that when I said that Sam Bankman received $213 million from Sequoia Capital, that's what's out there in the internet. That's what's reported with CNBC. But the thing is that we don't know that's true. They could have done more. They could have done less. Perhaps they didn't participate at all. I think that's unlikely. I think that Sam Bankman Fried, at age 27, when FTX was capitalized and founded, when he was 27 years old, and little Caroline Ellison is, she's 25 years old, and so Caroline's 25, and Sam's 27, and they're going to start $1 billion+ exchange. Yeah. In your dreams. That could never happen in real life. I don't care if your name's Roberto Calvi. You couldn't do it. Michele Sindona and Roberto Calvi, the two premier Italian bankers, a Sicilian banker and a Milan banker, they wouldn't be able to pull that FTX scam off unless they had the Bank of Vatican and, the Freemasons and the CIA involved, right? That's right. Everything has to be approved. Everything goes through an approval channel through the circle of trust. And the FTX did before. Look, we're talking about venture capital companies, KKR and Sequoia, who's associated with creating Apple Computer, Oracle Database, or Oracle Sales Corporation, Cisco Systems, a super grand slam home run there, Electric Arts, LSI, Logic, Let me just go through the list just to drill this into your head, because I don't think people appreciate the level of control, command and control that these firms have. It's centralized authority. I've always said everything's about pacification, control, and centralized authority. And that's why we have mandates. That's why we have maritime law. That's why we have parochial school systems. What do you think the Sacred Heart Convent and the Holy Cross and the Notre Dame and the Holy Name Society is all about? It's about military, hierarchical, top-down management. Obedience and secrecy are preeminent. They're preeminent in a military system. We follow orders or people die. Didn't Jack Nicholson say that? Yeah, he did. He did say that. All right, so, darn. I can't find what I'm looking for. In the vernacular, darn it. I think I might have it here. So, okay, so, in the case of the Don Valentine, Jesuit, Fordham University educated, indoctrinated, Don Valentine, Sequoia Capital, which was one of the founders of FTX, they're not a potted plant. They created Apple Computer, Cisco, Google, Instagram, LinkedIn, PayPal, Reddit, Tumblr, WhatsApp, which is part of Facebook, and Zoom, to name a very few success stories. Now, what's orbiting in the fake news media today is an interview with, the replacement for Don Valentine, because, he's 87 years old and he died. Don Valentine died 13 days after Aaron Valente's body was found. He died at age 87. So he's been replaced, and there's a new chief executive officer of Sequoia Capital, which is an LLC, limited liability company. That means that for accounting and tax purposes, the profits are passed through. It's pass-through entity. You get a K1. The principals of Sequoia are treated as if they're partners in a partnership. However, it falls within California State Corporate Department of Corporations. So an LLC is treated legally as a corporation, but for tax purposes is treated as an unincorporated partnership, if that makes sense to you. And if it doesn't, don't worry about it. It's not that important. These people make gajillions of dollars, so who really cares? And by the way, I think they generally like to avoid their taxes. So let's just say that there's other moving parts into the story that I don't know about. But I suspect there's other things going on here. So, all right. I don't know how it got deleted, but it got deleted. So, okay, here it is. All right. So, CNBC and Ryan Brown, who I'm sure is a clueless person, he did an interview where he's reporting on the new CEO of Sequoia Capital, which would be Sam Bankman-Fried's boss, Doug Leone. Doug Leone, he's the managing partner of Sequoia Capital LLC, and he is speaking. They have a photograph of him speaking in San Francisco in 2019 on April 17th, 2019. This is about the time that $213 million moved over to FTX to help capitalize what was going to be the crypto exchange. Anyway, I'll just read a little bit and I'll paraphrase. Billionaire venture capitalist Doug Leone, they do get paid a lot of money over there. I'm not sure if they're referring to how much money is at Sequoia or how much money Doug Leone has in his personal checking account. But anyway, billionaire venture capitalist Doug Leone, he's the managing director, stooge front for Sequoia. He said there wasn't much that his firm Sequoia Capital could have done to predict the solvency crisis at FTX. Leone was asked by his fellow Sequoia partner, Luciano Licadrew, on stage at the Slush Startup Conference in Helsinki, Finland. Sequoia has been in the press a lot for the past couple of weeks. What should we have done differently? Without mentioning FTX by name, though strongly hinting at it, I'm not going to mention any acronyms, Leone said. Careful due diligence regarding FTC. Sequoia, which invested $210 million in FTC, well, it's actually $213 million, but hey, what's $3.5 million? Wrote down the value of its startup, in the last 24 hours? Wrote it down to zero. They wrote it down to zero. So that's a little message to all you retail investors out there who think you're going to get a bankruptcy settlement in Chapter 11 or Chapter 13 filing. Because here's the thing. Sequoia isn't planning on getting any money back. They wrote their loan equity structure is zero value on their books. This is a company who brought Cisco Systems into the stratosphere, okay? And Apple Computer into the stratosphere. And then they don't know how to manage Sam Bankman-Fried and his cohort, Caroline Ellison. Give me a break. They could manage those two with a pinky finger 30 minutes a month. They are the adult supervision in the room. Sam and Caroline are not making any decisions. What you see at the end of the quarter is a due diligence statement, which doesn't really reflect what someone might have done in the middle beforehand. This is an inarticulate buffoon who's getting paid probably $50 million a year to manage, and that's the base salary, not counting his bonuses. We looked into it, he said, adding, there was nothing much that we could have done any differently. Okay, let me paraphrase this. Okay, I wouldn't believe anything that any executive managing director says at KKR or Sequoia. And I lump them together because they share the same men's room. They are birds of a feather, and they are in many of the same deals together, too. KKR has a longer list, and it's in every single industry in this world, and I could go through and read the list. But the point is that these people control virtually every corporation in America, every merchant banking transaction. That's when a corporation buys another corporation. One of these two knuckleheads is involved. Sequoia seems to be more oriented to something that's created from scratch or from almost scratch, from the mythology that someone has hatched an idea in a garage, but it's usually on the Stanford University campus, like Sun Microsystems or Hewlett Packard. Always with some alumni of Stanford is where these places come. And then Steve Jobs, they plucked him out of the community college down there in San Jose, Campbell. Gosh, I forgot the name of that community college. And he was working at Atari on video games. Steve Jobs, with no formal college degrees. And there he is. So Don Valentine is Jesuit educated from Fordham University, and he founded Sequoia. And he is a badass, and he is a salesman of electronics. And there is no way that he could be the founder of an equity capital company without continuous and constant CIA supervision at all times. That's 24/7. And that is true from 1972 until today. And then 1976, KKR, Kohlberg, Kravis, and Roberts was founded and is headquartered at 2800 Sand Hill Road, where Don Valentine's Sequoia Capital is located. And that's Jerome Kohlberg Jr., who's passed away in 2015. He's a Jewish fellow from New Rochelle, New York. He worked at Bear Stearns. He partnered with the younger George Roberts, who was born in 1943 or 44, not sure. And he's the first cousin of Henry R. Kravis, who's a Jewish fellow from Tulsa, Oklahoma, whose father was partners with Joseph Kennedy, JFK's father. And George Roberts is the same age as Abigail Folger. This could have been Abigail Folger's future, right? She could have had the KKR, but she's not Jewish. She's Roman Catholic, so she would have had a partner with Don Valentine. I could have seen that. I could have seen Abigail Folger working with Don Valentine, across the hall from these Jewish people. Jerome Kohlberg, Jewish person from New Rochelle, New York. Jewish person, Henry R. Kravis, who's from Oklahoma. Hollywood celebrated him in the Hollywood film, the Barbarians. The Barbarians. I forget what it was called. Anyway, then we have George Roberts. He's a Jewish fellow from Houston, Texas, and military trained, Culver Military Academy, Claremont McKenna College, otherwise known as Claremont Men's College. And these guys donate hundreds of millions of dollars to Claremont McKenna colleges and then receive awards. They received awards back. So I don't know. In the case of George Roberts, he's alleged of giving $50 million to his alma mater, Claremont McKenna College, in 2012. And then this year, 2022, the year we're coming out of the COVID mandates, he gave $140 million to his alma mater, the Claremont McKenna College, a.k.a. Claremont Men's College. I've swum in their Olympic swimming pool. Now I know who paid for that swimming pool. I've also been to the top of Mount Baldy. I don't know if, I wonder if George Roberts has been to the top of Mount Baldy. I wonder if he's been over to where Sherry Jo Bates got murdered. She died over at the community college in Riverside. It's not too far away from Claremont McKenna College. Anyway, what I'm telling you is this is who's running the show. I got 3 Jewish people who founded KKR, and they're across the hallway from Don Valentine's company, which is now managed by the sophistry knucklehead that I just told you about, that I don't believe anything that this guy says. And this guy is Doug Leone. Doug Leone, poppycock sophistry artist. doesn't know what happened at FTX. But he certainly knows how to collect a paycheck because he's getting paid on Apple. He's getting paid on LSI, Logic, Oracle, Cisco, Electronic Arts, Google, Zoom, YouTube. This guy's making a boatload of money. But he doesn't know what happened at FTX Crypto. I mean, if that isn't the CI just laughing at you, mocking you. I woke up this morning to one of my viewers posting, disparaging terms about that Caroline Ellison is a Jew and she doesn't belong on my website or photograph. I don't know if she's Jewish or not. Okay, but here's the thing. Who cares? I mean, the Roman Catholics are partnered with the Jewish people. The Jesuit-educated Catholics, military trained, parochial school in, whether it's elementary parochial school or whether it's high school at St. Ignatius or the Sacred Heart Academy in Menlo Park, which is Atherton, which is Sand Hill Road, or whether it's Sacred Heart Academy at 2222 Pacific Heights, San Francisco, where Dianne Feinstein, a Jewish girl, attended a strict Roman Catholic parochial school in Pacific Heights, 2222, right down the hill from the alleged Paul Pelosi hammer attack where nobody died and nobody went into a coma. Must have been a styrofoam hammer. That's who the criminals are, people. The criminals are the people who wire over hundreds of millions of dollars to a company that's torpedoed in 72 hours with a bankruptcy filing of a Chapter 11 in the District of Delaware. And the managing director of Sequoia Capital, the premier startup venture capital firm on the planet Earth, he doesn't know what else he could have done. He was very diligent. He doesn't know what happened. Nothing to see here, people. Just keep moving. So, did people lose money on the cryptocurrency of FTX? Yeah, probably did. Probably did. You should never invest your life savings into one of these CIA projects because that turned out to be a psyops. And some people got whacked. People got harmed. They got hurt. When you steal people's money, you're hurting them, all right? That's why I'm opposed to centralized digital currency. Do you think I trust a banker? Do you think I want a banker to decide my social obedience participation score? In other words, if I'm disobedient, I can't participate. I can't travel. I have travel restrictions. I have grocery budget restrictions. I can't put gas in my motorcycle. I can't do anything, right? Because the bank is my adult supervision. That's what Sequoia Capital and KKR are to every corporation on the planet Earth. They're the adult supervision. They decide. So if Sam Bankman-Fried, and Caroline Ellison are held out as scapegoats, you're missing the point because they're managed by a bank in Menlo Park next door to Stanford University. So if you're concerned, go to Sand Hill Road. That seems to where all of the questions should be directed. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Bye-bye.